Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 909, if we may.
Bill 909.
Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 909 very simply just implements the Menhaden cap that was redone by the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission. And I know you all, being on this committee, have dealt with this now for years, but actually the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission does the stock assessment every so often. It's a scientific sampling of the amount of menhaden that we have in abundance, and based upon their scientific sampling, they determine what the cap is that can be caught. The vast majority of these will be caught actually in federal waters, contrary to what some folks believe, but they are sent back predominantly to Reedville to be processed, and they're used in an abundance of products. It is a very significant industry in Virginia, and certainly in the part of the world that I come from. That is the bill. I'll answer any questions that I can. There's a fair amount of support for it, but I'm not going to ask everybody to line up here.
Mr. Chairman?
Senator Black.
So, as I understand, the surveys of the menhaden population indicate that they're not being depleted, and that we can increase to this amount without depleting the population.
Exactly correct, Senator Black. They're done through a series of sampling, and based upon their numbers, and these guys are scientists for NOAA, and they're much smarter than I am, but based upon their numbers and calculations and the samplings, they determine how many tons of fish can actually be caught safely and still have enough fish to regenerate the supply and a healthy stock. And basically what we do is we just, as a General Assembly, we implement what the federal cap is.
Any other questions to the patron? Hearing none, anybody wish to speak in favor of this bill? Anybody against? Is there a motion?
Move to report.
Been moved and seconded, the bill be reported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, bill reports. Next bill.
Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 910. This bill comes from DMME, and what this does is it expands the parameters from 750 feet to 1,320 feet to do well samplings, and potentially to have to replace wells that are injured water wells that could have been injured by gas or oil wells. And this just comes as a result of studies that have been done and the determination that perhaps we need to expand that parameter just to make sure that we're protecting those folks who have groundwater wells in the region of these gas and oil wells. That's the bill.
Anybody have any questions of the patron? See what folks lined up. You wish to speak in favor of or in opposition to this?
I think we got in favor.
Michael Skiffington, Policy Manager at DMME. I'd like to thank Senator Stewart for carrying legislation, and obviously we support the bill and happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, David Clark, representing the Virginia Oil and Gas Association. And while you might be surprised that I'm standing up here at this side of the discussion, but I wanted you to understand why we're not opposing this. Obviously, this bill and another bill that you're going to take up shortly are going to increase costs for the natural gas producers in Virginia. There are new regulatory requirements that have resulted from a 3-year analysis of the gas and oil regs. New regulations just became effective at the end of December. And the changes that Senator Stewart has in this bill and another bill I think he's going to be bringing up shortly are changes that came out as a result of the debate and the discussion that went on in the course of looking at those regulations. So as a result of that, we respect that process. There were a lot of compromises that were reached. I believe there will be additional legislation coming this session before you that will address other compromises that were reached. And so I just wanted you to know that while we are always concerned about increasing costs on the industry, we're not opposed to these measures for that reason.
So, Mr. Clark, are you telling us that this is part of a larger package that involves some give and take on both sides, and this is an important component of that larger package?
That would be a fair statement. There was a 3-year process, including a full year of a regulatory advisory panel. There also, subsequent to that, was an independent review of the gas and oil regulations from an organization from outside of Virginia, including regulators from Pennsylvania and environmental interests from outside of the state that looked at Virginia's regulatory structure for gas and oil, and they made a number of suggestions, and some of those are the ones that you're seeing in these bills and that you will see in other bills.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Don't feel compelled, but we're more than happy to have you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Trias Lockwood. I'm with the Virginia Conservation Network, and we also support this bill. And we'd like to thank the patron for bringing it, as well as the administration and the DMME. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Travis Blankenship with the Virginia League of Conservation Voters. We also support the bill.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Any questions? Is there a motion?
Report.
Is there a motion? Is there a second? Second. Motion properly seconded to report the bill, Senate Bill 910. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The bill reports.
Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 911, that's the other bill that David was just talking about. But actually, they call this the orphan well bill, and the upshot of it is it's increasing a self-assessment on these drillers to take care of these wells that were drilled and abandoned. And it's something that nobody likes to do, but we've got to deal with these old wells, and it's better to do it this way than to put it on the backs of the taxpayers who got no benefit from the orphan well.
So this is part of that larger package that is, that the entire team who's just up here all support. All right, anybody have any questions? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to report the bill. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, bill reports. Next.
Doggone, I think that was it.
Ah,
I asked that Senate Bill 866 go by for the day, so I think that's all I have.
without objection, that goes by for the day. Is that it? With the Hoover Chairman's